there's anything we've learned in the past 2 years is that you can't be too prepared. Whether it's toilet paper or Lysol wipes, people went kinda nuts when they heard about these essentials. Now, I don't think buying 300 rolls of toilet paper is the best way to stay safe during a pandemic, but at the time, people didn't really know any better. This is all new information to us. It's scary. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to buy. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But a recent report brought to life from US investigators hints that China has been preparing for this longer than we thought. I'm Taylor McWaters, and today on Life's Biggest Questions, we ask, why is China preparing for World War III? So hit that like button, sit back, and let's talk about it. The first case of COVID-19 was reported in the central Chinese city of Wuhan in late 2019, and the world hasn't been the same since. The disease quickly became a pandemic, with the death toll currently over 3.3 million worldwide. Officials are trying to get to the bottom of it at this point. How did this happen? Where did it come from? These are things we need to know so that we can prevent it from happening again in the future. It feels like life is rapidly changing. As the pandemic goes on, there's new rules put in place every other week. Businesses are open, and now they're closed. They're open again, now they're closed. New variants are coming in to join the party day after day, and the most important thing is still for everybody to stay safe and to do your part keeping those around you safe. I mean, we're still in it. Up in Canada, we're still working from home, hence all of this. Nobody was prepared for these last 2 years at all, but apparently China had been preparing for a third world war for over 6 years now. According to the dossier by the People's Liberation Army, scientists and health officials examined the manipulation of diseases to make weapons in a way never seen before. This document was recently obtained by US investigators, and it's loaded. The paper the US State Department got insists that these biological weapons will be the key for victory in such a conflict. Now, the paper highlights perfect conditions to release said bioweapons, and in the document it's shown the impact that it could have on the enemy's medical system. So with this recent evidence showing that Beijing considered the military potential of SARS coronaviruses from back in 2015, there are officials who believe that the virus, COVID-19, could have escaped from a Chinese lab. That's where they think the origin really came from. Coronaviruses are a large group of viruses. They cause respiratory diseases in humans, from a common cold to severe acute respiratory syndrome. SARS. Now, these papers were written by military scientists and senior Chinese public health officials as part of their research on the origins of COVID-19. They described SARS coronaviruses as this new era of genetic weapons, even referencing work from US Air Force Colonel Mitchell J. Ainscough, who thought World War III may be fought with bioweapons. In this paper as well, it stated that when SARS hit China back in 2003, they believed that it could have been a man-made bioweapon deliberately unleashed. So this isn't the first time officials have talked about bioweapons like this before. Chairman of the House of Commons Foreign Affairs Selection Committee was quoted in The Sun saying, "China's evident interest in bioweapons is extremely concerning." Tom Tugendhat continues to say that the decision by China's top military scientists to engage in discussions about biological weapons was in itself a concerning development. He goes on to explain that this is not a fringe scientist talking about it in sort of a conspiracy type way. This is a mainstream scientist who's got the ear of leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, who is talking about some of the most dangerous weapons the world has ever known. It's concerning in the first place that this is a major Chinese scientific institution talking about these types of weapons. Liberal Senator James Patterson says he holds concerns about China's lack of transparency, even describing the actions as obstructive. I mean, yeah, weapons of mass destruction include nuclear, radiological, and chemical weapons. If you can produce and release toxins deliberately to cause harm in humans, I mean, even me just saying that out loud sounds like a DC Batman villain. So these authors of this document fully believe that World War III will be biological, unlike the first two that were described as chemical and nuclear. The core weapon will be these biological and genetic weapons like coronavirus. That's their thing. The scientists say that these attacks shouldn't be carried out during a clear day because intense sunlight can damage the pathogens and rain and snow can affect the aerosol particles. So they actually suggest that this thing be released at nighttime or at least dawn or dusk. Cloudy weather works too. The wind just has to be going in a stable direction so the aerosol can float in the targeted area. Now I gotta be afraid of wind. Awesome. I'm gonna need an airzuka just to get that out of here. The research also notes that an attack like this would result in a surge of patients that need hospital treatment. So this could collapse the enemy's medical system. Another concerning factor in all this is China's gain of function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. This is near the location of the initial COVID outbreak, and virologists are creating new viruses that are said to be more transmissible and more lethal. Hamish de Bretton-Gordon, a chemical weapons expert, says China thwarted all attempts to regulate and police its laboratories where such experiments were taking place. Now, this was reported May 7th, less than a week ago. This comes from the book What Really Happened in Wuhan, which is set to release publicly September 29th, 2021. Add that to your Kindle reading list, folks. Executive Director of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, Peter Jennings, state that this document is as close to a smoking gun as we've got. It's significant because it clearly shows that Chinese scientists were thinking about military use for different strains of coronavirus, and they were thinking about how it could be deployed. He says that if this was a case of transmission from a wet market, it would be in China's interest to cooperate, but so far they've done the opposite of that. This document has 18 authors part of it: People's Liberation Army, scientists, weapon experts, and with Robert Potter, cybersecurity specialist, even chiming in himself after analyzing the leaked documents, he believes that the document is definitely not fake. So intelligence agencies suspect that COVID-19 may be the result of an accidental Wuhan lab leak, but of course there isn't enough evidence to suggest that it was intentionally released. And also, these things are just coming out new and we're reading articles, so take what we say as a grain of salt. We're not CNN. We're not going to tell you to drink bleach at the end of this. But we are going to tell you to subscribe and hit that like button at the bottom if you enjoyed this video. What do you guys think about all of this? Do you think COVID-19 was actually released as a bioweapon? Or is it just Mother Nature telling us to get our gear and to stop treating each other like garbage? Let us know all your thoughts, theories, and comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in to Life's Biggest Questions. I've been your host for today, Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe. Don't drink bleach. Bye.